Hey, these forecasts are all about using time and energy to your advantage. And boy, is there an interesting time and transitive time coming up this March. So it is so worth knowing the energy that's coming and learning how you can use it to your advantage to manifest more and to live a life more in flow. My name's Jeanette Zizikowski, your go-to Feng Shui consultant. Daily, I'm working with the motivated, the successful, and the inspired to implement Feng Shui into their lives so they can live that flow, so they can enjoy their life's journey while on the way to their many destinations. I have got a very interesting March to talk to you guys about before we get into the Feng Shui forecast. I have some notes over here because this really was a last minute add-on. I was listening to My Human Designs, Jenna Zoe's most recent podcast where she had on an astrologer. I saw her Instagram and it was like interesting times in March. So of course, right before I filmed this March forecast, I'm like, I have to listen to this. I have to know what we're about to hear. And this is what we hear. March, at the end of March is going, well, all of March is going to be an interesting time. I'm going to link the podcast episode below because I am by no means a Western astrologer, and you can just hear it from the horse's mouth. And then I'm also going to link another article, maybe not, this other article that I read that I think was helpful, but I might just like let you guys Google on your own. But for sure, I'm going to link the podcast because the podcast was very helpful and it still left you uplifted. I do not like these astrology forecasts that like say stuff and then make it sound like everything's over. So some interesting things to note about Western astrology. What I'm getting into is Feng Shui and how you can adjust things in your home and use the Feng Shui to your advantage. But to this Western energy point, the last time, so Pluto is moving into Aquarius. And again, I'm not a Western astrologer, so I don't even fully know what all of that means. I just know that Pluto is a big deal. And it's been in Capricorn. I know Capricorn likes rules, it likes structure, and it's getting ready to move into Aquarius, which is not a water structure. It's water free flowing. So that's like the dumb down version. This woman mentioned that the last time we saw Pluto in Aquarius was 1777 to 1797, which was when we saw the French and American revolutions. And it's actually very interesting that there's this word revolution that comes about because I use something called disruption in one of the directions that we see this month. So it's kind of interesting. Then I also was talking to Chi Pro Sam, 1760 to 1840 was the Industrial Revolution. We are getting ready to move into period 9, which is 2024 to 2044. 1760 to 1840 is a lot longer math. 40, that's like 80 years. Oh my gosh, don't quote me on that. The last period 9, so that was the Industrial Revolution, was in that 1777, 1997 timeframe. And then the last period 9, which is what I look at, which is what I use in all of these. In Feng Shui, we look at the periods and the flying stars. The last period 9 was 1844 to 1864. So a little bit after the Industrial Revolution technically ended. The great thing about astrology and these tools is that when we hear big things like revolutions, I don't know about you, but for me, my first reaction is like, oh my gosh, sounds scary. What does that mean? What does that mean just in general? And like my brain really gets going. Well, the beautiful thing about the internet that's very helpful is that you can research a lot and you can pick your trusted source. Always find your trusted source that gives you the good, the bad, and the facts, right? Not the biased sources. And it's really cool because looking at these period 9s, the internet, it can tell us when was the last time we were in period 9. Energy is cyclical. There are pandemics every 100 years. We can look back and see patterns in all these energies. There's patterns in history, but they don't always end up the same, and they're not exactly the same because we have advanced, because we had the Industrial Revolution. So there's so many other factors. The environment is so different, and that's a good thing. More advancement is more knowledge and more power, right? So It's interesting that the last period 9 was right after the Industrial Revolution, but 9 with what we see is fire AI. What I see and what I feel like they're referring to with this last time we saw Pluto in Aquarius, my initial gut feeling is that we just see something in March come out more with technology. We have Chat GPT, we have more and more of these AI resources. I think that there's another layer to the AI robot stuff that comes out. I think it potentially triggers some people who, and just triggers in the sense of makes them feel a kind of way where they want to make sure that there's regulations around it, that they want to make sure that there's rules around it, that it doesn't like take their freedoms. And I think you'll see a lot of people reacting quickly. And this all happens again. I'm going to send you the podcast link in the description of this video, but this is all like towards the end of March. When I was doing some research, and I really, again, recommend you guys just looking at it on your own. There's nothing like to fear about learning more about these past revolutions. It was a lot of people who felt that there were a lot of people with money and people with less money. Taxing was getting kind of shady. Farming, people who had land and were making money from their land, that like taxation and things were getting kind of shady, and they wanted to protect their freedoms. Meanwhile, the people up here, like, were just walking around. So the revolution, while it's a very intense word, but remember, it's a long period of time. Tony Robbins says we overestimate what we can do in a year, and we underestimate what we can do in 10 years. That's true for every individual. So if these revolutions are 20-year spans of time, period 9 is a 20-year span of time. 9 represents fire, technology, this AI, the eyes. So it kind of all syncs up that this is going to be similar to an industrial revolution, which is just advances. And the internet it's a tool for us to be able to say like, okay, so the Industrial Revolution ended up being a mostly good thing for the people who adapted and learned new skills and changed. Also, we can see that it lasted about 20 years. So I have time to learn new skills, to adapt, to connect to myself, see what my passion is, and grow with the change rather than fight it. I had a train of thought I was saying earlier, and I realized I didn't finish it, but I forgot where I was going. That's my point. I made another point instead. Oh, I was talking about the separation. So what the revolution, this big word, meant was that people wanted more equality. And we see things like the conversation about liberty and being an individual and like having your own personal liberties. And I'm no historian, so I feel like somebody out there is just like, Jeanette, you are butchering this like crazy. And I probably am, but it just is like, this is the layman's version. And so we see that. I think that we will see this new technology come out and people just saying like, hey, but I want to preserve my freedoms, my rights, and my stuff. And that's good, because sometimes all the articles, it's no secret, is that technology has come out very quickly and it's been very difficult for rules and regulations to keep up. And so I think what this taste of Pluto in Aquarius will be is like, yeah, cool. Let's advance as a humanity, and like use this stuff to our advantage, but like, let's do it intentionally and smartly and constructively. And I could be completely wrong. I'm just a human kind of analyzing these patterns of energy and periods of time. So take for what you will. I've linked the podcast episode where a real astrologer is talking there, and then the internet is your oyster, Britannica, Wikipedia, like whatever it is you want to look up. But researching the times of the Industrial Revolution, the French and American revolutions are very helpful. And then just also remember, like, but tack on hundreds of years of advancement. So we have different tools now. So a equaling of power will look a little different. They also mentioned in this article that Pluto goes into Aquarius for like 3 months, gives us a little taste of all of this, and then it leaves and comes back in 2024. Also, if you get a taste of this for 3 months, and you feel whatever way you feel, because Pluto's moving in your birth chart. And again, that's Western astrology, not what I'm doing today. We are talking about Feng Shui and how to use it in your space, but there's always life happening in like the bigger picture. Something beautiful the woman said in the podcast episode was, if you look at movies and you look at other periods of time, yes, there's this like civil war happening. That's not what I'm referring to here, but just like any movie where there's like this big action scene. Let's just forget what I said about civil war and like just big action scene. There's always other people baking bread, going to work, falling in love, having weddings, having babies. Like there's this bigger thing. And I think the summary of all of this and what period 9, it's eyes, it's also spirituality, it's metaphysics, it's really going internal. You guys know I'm not a big proponent of the TV news. I think now more than ever is a time to just go internal, figure out your passions, figure out what you're into, figure out how to follow your heart. I know that sounds really cheesy, but in the end, like we're all here to promote love. We all want to be loved. We all want to share love. We all want similar freedoms. And so you being your best self, you knowing your passion, you knowing why your soul chose to be here and what value it's here to add, because your soul chose to be here at this particular time. Go in. Don't look out. Research history a little bit. Research like this is the period of time that happened. Really wrap your head around like how much you can learn, how much you can grow in a span of 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. So don't get too like, oh my gosh, these revolutions are 50 years long or 100 years long. Like think about how much can happen, right? Think about what you can do in the span of 6 months and a year, and go internal. Learn more about yourself, learn more about your energy, use more Feng Shui. Feng Shui helps you be in the right places at the right times. And so it's these metaphysical tools that are going to help guide you to take the right steps. So applause for being here. It's a really good idea that you're here. And just using Feng Shui in your home in general, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else, like this is a really good tool to be using. So I didn't plan on going on this 15-minute motivational speech, but I think it's good to hear about these things ahead of time. I want you to know that listen to this podcast where it's always like an uplifting ending, where let's read people, follow people, where it's always an empowering message. Because again, life is happening for you. Your soul chose to be here at this time. You could be the person. Industrial revolutions, there were still people innovating. There were still people thinking of new things. And then they were like the it person that thought of the cool thing. Just because AI and this technology is advancing again doesn't mean that like you go away. It means you could be the person that has like, there's new problems that are created that need new solutions. And that's why you go in and you think, what are my talents? What's the value I add? How can I help and grow? And yes, change is scary. And yes, it's not fun when it kind of like hits us over the head. But are we ever really prepared? If I said in 2022, like, I need you to learn a new skill set before this amount of time, how many of us, or if anybody said that to us, how many of us actually would like take that seriously? Sometimes it's not until we're forced to change that we change. Like with being a Feng Shui consultant, had I not gotten let go, I say fired, let go, like whatever, I didn't have that job anymore. Had I not got kicked out, I would have never started this because it was a comfortable salary. It was a comfortable commission check. It was a comfortable job that I liked. So sometimes these things are always blessings. These things are always encouraging us to grow. Our soul wants to grow. Now I've extended the pep talk. Let's get into how to use your Feng Shui this month. So last month's action item was to watch this video, how to set an intention that actually manifests, and then future journal for the year. At the beginning of every year, it's customary that people think of, what are my big goals for the next 12 months? What do I want out of this year? And then they write about it. So that was my intention for February's monthly Feng Shui forecast. We set it early. Then I had you then break it down into 12 months. So every month you have a goal so that at the end of 12 months, you have this big goal that you're reaching. Each month, you know what you're focused on doing. You watch the monthly Feng Shui forecast and you know what help you need from the energy that month to accomplish that step in your 12-month plan. As you watch these, do you need the money energy? Do you need the communication energy? Do you need the love energy? Do you need the health energy? Like, now that you have your 12 months planned out, look at these forecasts. So with that in mind, what is it that you need to accomplish this month to move the needle, to get you further on where you want to be in 12 months? What will help you feel better about your health, your relationships, your career? Maybe it's finishing a resume. Maybe it's drinking a gallon of water for 30 days. Maybe it's a journaling practice to help you learn patience. What is your goal for this month? Now let's get into, as you guys know, I prefer to use the energy to my advantage to support my goals, but I know a lot of people find comfort and control over their space when they get to move objects around, when they place things with intention. So these are the objects. If you're someone who likes cures, here's what you can put in this month to chill out the different energy. And remember to place these with strong intention. So in the north, we have intention setting candle in the north because the annual energy here is the 9 fire, and we like the 9 fire. So with your intention, send it out into the universe with that 9 in the north for the year. The northeast, southwest, the northeast, northwest, and southwest are all good this month. So I don't really recommend, you don't really need to put anything here. The west, you could put some earth to smooth the energy. Earth is the element that you'd like here. That could be something yellow, like a yellow throw blanket. Could be sand, pottery, clay, ceramic, anything representational of earth. In the south, it's not too bad because it's an 8 and a 2 together, which actually equals 10. So I kind of like it, but it also brings that 2 energy, which can be difficult on health. So the Wooloo, if you have a Wooloo symbol, or you can even put 6 coins in here as well, but this direction wants metal. Then in the southeast, we have metal visiting, which when you have metal visiting, I recommend putting 3 bamboo stalks, which is wood. That gives that metal energy something to do. You want the 3 bamboo in the 3 stalks of bamboo in a clear glass vase representing water, or you want it in a black vase representing water. So you have the water and the wood and smooths out this energy that's all meeting. You don't want it in like a red pot or anything like that. So you want 3 bamboo stalk. And I just sometimes put it in I'm drinking like a vitamin water, but you just put it in a clear glass if you'd like. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. That's what all mine are in. Then lastly, you absolutely want metal in the east this month. So March energy comes in anywhere from March 4th to March 7th. March 7th is one of these major transits that the astrologer talks about. But this video will come out in time for you to get some metal in the east before the 4th, 7th transition. I think it's actually the 6th this month. I'm not for certain. For sure. This is the most difficult direction this month. It represents endings. And if this is your bedroom or your office, I recommend sleeping or working somewhere else. You'll just sleep better. It'll make your work life a little bit easier if you're working somewhere else as well. But if you can't move, if you can't sleep anywhere else, then just put metal there. Be very clear about your intentions, and also think about like what it is you want to end. So this is the difficult combination of 5 and 2. If you're familiar with Flying Star Feng Shui, this is the one people get all worked up about. I have it at my front door all year. So, I mean, you just kind of like live with it if it's coming. So if in case you're somebody that's like, oh my gosh, 5-2, like that is the worst one. However, what will I do? Like I have it in very key areas of my home this year. What you can do, it represents endings, and what you can do is like decide what you want to end. I mentioned this last year because at some point every year these 2 energies combine. So it's nothing to freak out about. You have lived through one of these combinations before, but decide what you want to end rather than letting the energy decide for you. Maybe there's a breakup that's been itching to happen. This could be a good month to do it, especially if your house is facing the east or if you have one of these key areas in the east. Decide to end a friendship, decide to end a relationship, decide to break up with that pesky client that's super annoying and bothersome. Decide to stop biting your nails or eating sugar, but you can choose the ending. And that's a huge example of using the energy to your advantage and not waiting for life to happen to you. It's happening for you. And how do you use it? There's something that you've been wanting to change. This is the energy that helps you change it. This energy combo, this is where now everyone's going to tell you this. So we're going into period 9. the 2 gets stronger, which is exciting because the 2 has always been sickness. It's always been this doom and gloom. But moving to period 9, 2 gets stronger and we can use it. 2 represents real estate. So the energy combo here can also be really good for real estate. If you're trying to sell a house, this is a good month to really push it. Find an astrologer, find a Feng Shui consultant, work with them on date selection, and they can really help you do a final push to sell that home. When's a good day to do set, to put out the pamphlets, to make the open house? Cheapro Sam is so good at these real estate ones. So she's a great one if you're looking to do date selection to sell a house. I can help you as well. Now let's talk about the best directions to use. Remember that monthly goal. Now let's talk about the 3 best directions that I see this month and how you can use them to your favor. One of the most helpful directions this month, oh my gosh, you love to see it when the pictures don't work. I spend all this time to put a picture in here and then they don't show up. I also have to say, this is my 17th sound check. If there's a little bit of a fuzz or something, I am so sorry. I went through headphones. Look, I got 2 pairs of headphones here. I've got other mics. This mic was working and not working. I'm gonna have to get a new one. It's a mess. And now we'd have the pictures not working. So I think when these things happen, the universe is just testing us, how bad do you really want it? I wanted to get this video out to you. And I saw a deer before this all happened, which is my symbol for certain things. It's also just a spirit symbol for intuition and all that. So today was the day to have this conversation. One of the most helpful directions this month is the Southwest. Here we have a combination that is great for learning a new skill. That's funny. The picture just showed up on my other computer. It's a picture of a girl studying. This is a great combination for learning a new skill. It's the beginning of the year. Many people are looking for new jobs. They're boosting their resume. In addition to just changing up your resume, how can you increase the value that you add to your future job? How can you add value in skill set? This is a great month to take an online course that you've been maybe wanting to take, or that training you've been meaning to take, and how will it advance you forward? And now that you know that we're at the beginning of this time where technology has a really big boom, what skill sets and passions around technology, beauty, video editing could actually be computer software, coding, just learning more about ChatGPT? What about that interests you? And dive into it, because it's going to be a very needed skill in this new up leveling that we're having. It's also a great direction for students to study in. So also, if your goal is to finish a PhD, I know somebody watching, she's finishing her PhD. This is a direction to sit in that will help you find focus. This is great. It's 4-1. It's energy for studying. Next is the North. Here we have the wood generating fire element combination, and it's referred to as birth of an intelligent son. In modern day, this means not everyone's going to go get pregnant, but it means that there are creative ideas to be had. There's innovative new ideas. So man, actually that just really pairs with why I felt it was so important to refer to that podcast that I listened to, right? And talking about how we're going into this period shift. This month, while it is the month, wow, I'm having a huge epiphany. While it is this month of massive change and a glimpse into how we're going into this industrial revolution, but this is the month to sit inward, focus, use these different directions and say, this is the part of the new technology of the stuff that I really love. Or maybe I've always wanted to have my own online course. Well, now is the time to start making it. Now is the time to start collecting the skills to be your own boss. And so how great. Okay. Very cool when it all links together. So in modern days, this birth of intelligence actually means creative ideas, innovative new ideas. So if you've been feeling confused on how to solve different problems, this direction will help you brainstorm different solutions, but then it will ask of you to take action on that. So follow through, because we have the 3 here. It wants you to take action. It wants you to follow through on these ideas that you're having. I just wrote that. I just said it, but I also wrote it. The 3 wants you to take action, progress. It pushes you so that you go forward. So journal here, color here, paint here, whatever it is that opens up that creative complex in your mind, and be open to receiving inspiration that you will take action on. And lastly, we have one that can really disrupt. And so this is where everything was I not only had an epiphany as I'm recording this, but was oh, what interesting timing that I listened to that podcast before recording this. We have a 6-9 here, and in Joey Yap's terms, because these energy combinations, I mentioned that the last time we were in period 9 was 1844 to 1864. So we've been through this cycle before. We have been through periods 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 before, which is how we know that everything is okay and everything evolves and everything is going to work out in our favor. Think of all the periods in time where people are like, ah, like it's, oh my gosh, it's over. This is it. It's not. After period 9, there will be period 1, there will be period 2. And will there be positives? Will there be some negatives, but really the negatives just make us uncomfortable and it's things we needed to release anyway? Yes. This is the one that I saw. Oh, in Joey Yap's terms, when he now sees in modern day these 6-9 combinations, he sees it as like a disruption. He sees it as a month where people, and he means like individually. So when he sees this in a house, he means that like this is great for disruptors of an industry, people who are starting a business that like a new innovative kind of toilet paper that just disrupts the toilet paper industry, or a new kind of Kleenex that just disrupts the Kleenex industry. That's what he means by disrupt. It's just a very good month of like new ideas, being bold on what it is that you want. I wouldn't say be so bold to like quit your job and spend all your money. Don't think it's a time for that, but having an idea and moving forward with it, that is what this month is going to be really helpful with. And this west direction, I'm so glad these other pictures worked. Here, this west direction is a bold direction, shall we say. It's the metal energy that is involved with leadership, promotion, military, government, any very like structured by the book job. And then we have 9, which is fire, and 9 and metal and fire clash, but they're both auspicious stars. So 9 is illumination. It gives a spotlight. It's celebrations. It's beauty. It's eyes. It's happy events. It's this technology and AI. So there's definitely something big happening in March. But remember, everything is always happening for you. It's always happening for you. And when you are still and you are present and you listen, you hear why this is happening for you, how it's happening for you, and you take action on that. Now for your action item. To receive, you have to make space to receive. You have to be open to parting with things, trusting something bigger and better is coming along and will come along. I rewatched this video before recommending it, making sure that it was good timing, making sure it was good quality, because some of my very first videos are so embarrassing. This wasn't that long ago, actually. This wasn't that long ago. And I rewatched it, and actually it was pretty funny, if I do say so myself. I've got some funny humor in here. Also, funny humor aside, this is going to help you make space to receive abundance, to receive some of your gifts, to receive some of that clarity that you're looking for. So your action item is to go watch the video, How to Feng Shui Your Closet. I will see you in that video.